Hi everyone, my name is Emma, and I've bugged the principal of my school. Pretty cool, huh? Only if at first it was fun to feel power over someone, then I discovered a scary secret. Well, I'll tell you the story from the beginning, so you understand what's what. I am the daughter of a famous businessman. My father does not tell what he does, only his assistants and lawyers know about it. As for me and my mom, at first we were interested, but then we kind of dropped it because my dad started bringing home a lot of money. That's right, we weren't always rich. And when we were, we got crazy. And the more Dad was away from home, the more money he gave Mom and I. That's how my will came out. I began to buy, make, travel, and communicate with whomever I wanted, wherever I wanted, and as much as I wanted. My mother, by the way, did the same thing. Thus, what grew out of me was what grew out of her. The bitch Emma. And imagine, I lived at that pace for many, many years, and then suddenly my father decides to take a time out after 6 years and be home more, stay in the family. Of course, my mom and I were already used to a different life. Anyway, we didn't want to sit in the fancy mansion, and Dad was constantly trying to control where we were and who we were with, and that was just about every day. And then something happened. I was walking down the hallway at school. Jessica and I were discussing something at recess, laughing. She was just telling me that she had to go bowling with her new boyfriend today. We were discussing what she should wear and so on, and then, when I looked up, I saw my dad. He was standing there talking to my teacher about something. I knew I was in trouble because I was slipping badly in my studies. He wanted to talk tonight, but I quickly thought of going bowling with Jessica. Dad asked which bowling alley, and my friend gave me the address. That's it, Dad. I didn't need you to show up here. We're going on a date. I am more specifically having a date there. Okay, bye. Let's go, Jessica. I went to the bowling alley that night, but I wasn't in the mood. I watched my friend cuddle with a guy. Then she asked me to get a drink, which meant fuck off for 30 minutes, I figured out. I went outside for some air. I went to my car, but I got squeezed by another car. An unreal good-looking guy came out of there. A guy older than me, but I could tell such a hunk. We got to talking, got to know each other. He came over to play too, so we spent the rest of the evening together. What happened next? The next day, a movie, then a cafe, a restaurant, and a week later, we were already dating. And I was beyond happy. I liked everything about him. But then reality set in again. My father's scaffold was at home. We fought again, I went to school in a bad mood, and in the yard, I noticed my boyfriend's car. When I walked into the school, I saw that there was a meeting, and my boyfriend in a suit was talking to the vice principal. He let me know that I shouldn't approach him just now, and then the meeting started. This is our new school principal. Meet Mr. Paul Stanley. My jaw almost dropped. What? Why didn't you tell me about this? You think I knew? There's clearly going to be a conversation today. It wasn't until after class that Paul and I drove away from the school, where he told me that he had wanted to try himself as a principal for a long time because he had experience and an education. I asked him why he didn't tell me, and he just said he was embarrassed. I decided not to push the issue. And then I realized that, in fact, I have a lot of advantages. Not only will I get a break with my studies, I can also have lunch with him, see him every day, and in general, it'll be cool. But things just didn't seem to go according to plan. Paul called me into his office. I thought he missed me, but he looked at my report card and told me off in a very stern tone. You need to improve your math, your English, and your failing literature. Have you read at least one book? What are you talking about? No, I haven't. I don't want to. Do you realize that these grades won't get you into college? They will. My parents will pay for it. Wouldn't you like to go on your own, with your own resources? Why? You're a smart girl. I'm talking as a teacher, not as your boyfriend. I felt ashamed. Yes, for the first time, I guess. He spoke calmly, but at the same time, I knew what he meant. Paul signed me up for extra classes and checked every homework assignment. I tried my best to pull up subjects. Honestly, not because my boyfriend told me to, but he was really the first one who believed I could. While my dad was busy making money and my mom was in beauty salons and with girlfriends, I grew up on my own. I had my friend Jessica, but she was a stupid, rich blonde. She never knew how to listen or be supportive. I only interacted with her because of her parents. Whenever I went to their house, I would get high. Her parents were such idols. I loved having lunch with them, sometimes imagining they were my family. That made me sad. But now I had Paul in my life, a man who cared about my future and my plans and believed in and helped me. I was doing well, right into my studies, very enthusiastic about my new life. Paul and I were naturally hiding our relationship, and that was causing problems too. I noticed that the girls started staring at him a lot. Every morning, the whole hallway would go, "Good morning, Mr. Stanley, nice tie." Or, "Good morning, sir, can I get you some coffee? Can I make it with cream, the way you like it best?" Ugh! I was shaking at this point so much that I was ready to kill those broads. They were hovering around him. There was a whole line lined up at recess, and everyone was asking him stupid questions. I was so pissed off. I began to blow Paul's mind. He assured me that he didn't pay them any attention. But any man with so many women in his office, sooner or later, could lose control. Am I wrong or what? The jealousy was awakened in me, and that meant it was time to do something. And the first thing that occurred to me was to wiretap his phone to know why girls from my school were calling him. It was pretty easy to do. I went into his office with one of the nerds from class, and while I distracted him, he attached a bug to his smartphone. I could listen to him through my phone, a special program, even from a distance. In return, the nerd asked for simple selfies with me. Well, thanks for that. So the first few calls were made after hours. He got calls from high school girls. I memorized all of them by name so I could sizzle them later. They were talking nonsense about extras, but Paul held himself with dignity. He didn't cross the line. He talked calmly and quietly. I calmed down a bit. So I listened to him for a week and wrote down names. Then a committee from the college came to our school. It was a surprise visit. They invited everyone who wanted to come for a talk. I was really worried, but Paul gave me one look and I went in. And guess what? They liked me. Yes! They said that I have a chance of getting a scholarship at the end of the year if I pull up my GPA. Man, I was so happy. At the end of the night, Paul and I decided to celebrate at a restaurant. The atmosphere was chic, though he kept getting distracted with phone calls. And when he once again went to the bathroom for the evening to chat, I nervously pulled out my phone and began to listen. A familiar voice was talking to Paul, and I started listening more closely.
"So, what's the news, Paul? Did the commission come by?" "Yes, sir, she did. She's got a good chance of getting on the budget." "Great. I knew you wouldn't let me down."
"I knew it too, sir. Your daughter's smart. I had nothing to do with that."
"Come on, you're being modest. Train her up a little more. I think in a month you can be free. I'll reward you generously for re-educating Emma, as I promised."
"Thank you, sir, but I'm telling the truth. She did it on her own."
Yes, I hear you. Keep up the good work, Paul."
My lip trembled. I began to pant. There was a hole in my chest, a fever rising from my stomach to my throat. I couldn't breathe. When Paul came back to me, he was confused, asked what was wrong, why I was crying, and I got up from my chair, poured my glass of juice at him, and said, "Tell my dad I say hi," and left. I didn't talk to my dad or him. I ignored him at school, skipped classes again. I deleted the program from my phone. I was no longer interested in what he was talking about or who he was talking to, but Paul didn't stop. He followed me everywhere. After school, before school, even propped my car against his, so I left it in the parking lot. It went on like that for a week and a half. And one Sunday afternoon, when I went down to the kitchen for breakfast, my dad and Paul were sitting there. I didn't want to see them, but they made me talk. My father apologized, said he couldn't get through to me. He didn't want me to grow up stupid. And Paul said he'd really fallen in love with me. Even my father was surprised. "Paul, I believed you." "Okay, Dad, he was never around, but you barged into my life. You changed everything under the terms of my agreement with Dad, and I fell in love with you. I thought you believed in me, and meanwhile you—" "I do. I truly believe in you. Emma, you're so capable." "Bullshit. I'm in love with you. I don't believe it."
"So that's why you wouldn't take my money?"
"Yes, sir. I don't need it."
"Well, even better. I mean, whatever you say."
You didn't take the money?
No.
Dad, is it true?
Yeah, I didn't even write a check. You can check for yourself.
My lips trembled. Dad left us alone. I said everything I needed to say, screamed hard, and then Paul just kissed me. Yes, I forgave him, but on the condition that he'd resign as principal. He did. Now he's working in the kindergarten, and I have college entrance very soon. Wish me luck. Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below the video. Don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.